Welcome back. This is the Scaling Secrets podcast. We are here to talk about talent as a service from the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Azhar Siddiqui. And he's a marketing veteran and author, a podcast host, and an educator. He's the CEO and co-founder of Repstack.co. Now, Repstack is a renowned figure in the marketing industry with a robust 15-year tenure as a marketing agency veteran. And Azhar's book is called Hiring Secrets for Digital Marketing Agencies. And his podcast is called Agency Growth Machine, which serves as a platform where industry experts, agency owners, SaaS business owners, and agency coaches engage in insightful conversations centered around fostering agency success and driving growth. So we're going to find all about digital marketing, hiring and placing, EOS, RepStack, what they do, how they're different, so much more. We're going to pack so much in. So, Azhar, first of all, am I saying your name right? And how the heck are you?
Yeah, I go by Azhar, so you're
Azhar.
close enough. And
Okay.
that was a hell of an introduction. Thanks for that, Robert. And yeah, I think you covered everything, over the last 3.5 years now. I've been heading RepStack, which is really a talent as a service platform where, we're really focused on the long-term mission-driven associates inside marketing agencies and SaaS businesses. And we're not doing everything. We don't claim to, like, really, it's a cool word for a recruitment agency. So we focus on the global talent, but the talent that we do focus on, we really benchmark them with the local talent inside the US. And that's our claim to fame, really. So if one of our associates is working, for example, they do work with some of the fastest growing marketing agencies in the US, multiple Inc. 500, 5,000 agencies. Our associates are part of their internal teams and support teams and things like that. So our associate is a very similar person, a person like me and my brother Athar, who's the co-founder of the business as well. We came to the United States going to same basic education back home in Pakistan. Coming over to the United States, we got the same level playing field, and we were able to build out our careers. Like, I built out my marketing agency in Calgary, Canada for the last 15 years. So that's kind of why we're focused on this niche, because I understand the intricacies of this particular niche. My brother Athar built out a career with JP Morgan Chase, and he's obviously full-time into the business now, but his last post was as an executive level. So, like, we already had proof of concept between the two of us, that we went to the same schools as everyone that we're employing at RepStack. And when we got to the US, we were able to get the opportunities to work with some of the best companies, build out our businesses, build six-figure incomes for ourselves. And yet, we have this tremendous amount of talent back home and several other countries that we're familiar with. And we know that the people that we hire, for example, Robert, like, these guys have double MBAs and things like that, right? And the only reason that they're not getting the same opportunity is because of their location. So, hence RepStack was born in October 2020. We're a COVID baby, and we just do one thing for for niche that we're in, digital marketing agencies and SaaS businesses, and we just focused on that. So, we don't do more technical recruitment, more higher up, like, chief operating officers and things like that. We only focus on 4 roles inside a marketing agency or SaaS business that we know everyone's going to need, and they're mainly entry level. So it's 6 months to 3-year experiences in marketing associates, sales development reps, account managers, and executive assistants. And all the agencies and SaaS businesses that I know have some form of these roles inside them. They're basically the bread and butter. They're the running engine. And the last thing that I'm going to leave you at with is that, because marketing agencies and SaaS businesses are human resource intensive businesses, up to 60% of the revenue goes back into paying on the P&L. If you look at the P&L of these companies, 60% of their revenue is going back in payroll. So that's where RevStack comes in. We help kind of bring that down, make these agencies profitable while bringing in people who are mission driven and long term. and you can use them exactly like you would if you were to hire a person from Tampa, Austin, Seattle. I'm just naming some of these cities because we've done some research on how much it costs to hire from these cities. But yeah, that's in a big nutshell what we do, and it's been quite a ride over the last three years.
Sounds like quite all right. I love what you've created and your focus because you're saying that you've niched, right? You're in the digital marketing and SaaS industry and you're focused on these specific job roles. You're not trying to be everything to everybody. And when you are building a business, it should be common sense, but you need to hire people, right? And instead of trying to learn everything yourself and solve everything yourself, then your team might need to grow and you might say, hey, I need some brains. I need some of those double MBAs to really do some thinking on this project because there's no possible way that one person or even just a small team can stay on top of all these different business tasks that there are. So we need to grow our teams. We need to find the right people. But then I'm sure from what you've seen in dealing with people, that's the real trick is finding the right person who wants that opportunity, who's a good fit, who's competent, who is excited. And then a lot of us entrepreneurs, we try basically every possible way of doing it, right? We try
Yeah.
Indeed, we try LinkedIn, we try Fiverr, and there's all sorts of disadvantages to those, right? Like you go to the freelancing sites, and that's a fast start, but then you're not only focused, and then they might fall off. And so it's great that there is a company like yours who knows what needs to be done and knows what to focus on. And so just as far as, so say someone uses your platform to find these people, what do you wish they knew going in? Like, are there some sorts of do's and don'ts as far as
Yeah.
how to use RepStack and what to stay away from?
Yeah. Our best clients have some sort of established revenue already, so they have a proof of concept, and they're at that. They have some systems and processes in place, and that works best for us. However, I'm going to really talk to the entrepreneur out there who's getting started and who has some traction early on, and now they're ready to grow. And like we all know that you're going to have to build out a team, and all, like some of the platforms that we mentioned, definitely they will give you that scale early on, like the freelancing platforms with the control over the pricing and things like that, Upwork, Fiverr, even TopTel. But there's two now for you when you're ready to grow, Robert. One of them is that you're going to have to hire local using ZipRecruiter, Indeed, platforms like this, and put that job on there. They could be based in the United States, but the jobs that we're fulfilling, they'd start anywhere at $60,000 a year and up. So imagine making a mistake on that first few critical hires that you need, and they can end up costing you, if you hired a wrong person, they can end up costing you over $200,000 by some estimates, and that could be detrimental to a business that's just starting out. So that's one way of approaching things. You can still hire locally, but it's very expensive. And if you make that wrong decision, especially early on, you're going to have to kiss a few frogs to get it right sometimes. And you need to have that leeway of making those mistakes and things like that. So there's really two things. So you either hire locally or globally, and then also which specific roles should you start out with. So I think that's even more important, like having that understanding of, because sometimes we think, Robert, that I'm ready to grow, I got to build out a sales team. Usually that's not the case, right? So if you come to RepStack, for example, on one of our recruitment strategy calls, which is absolutely free, our system is absolutely free, you don't pay a dime. You're going to interview as many people as you want, review as many resumes as you want, until you hire someone. But when you come into our system, we're going to make sure that we let you know that, and you're looking for that appointment setter, for example, that you think that is going to solve all the problems and is going to help you get to the next level. Usually before an appointment setter, like for example, we have a whole team of like 5 or 6 salespeople right now. And our salespeople on the appointment setting side, they're booking 2, 3, 5 calls a day for us. But we have a whole marketing engine behind it to support them. So if you're thinking that appointment setter is the first hire, usually we would make you take a step back, and we'd ask you to look at your CRM system. How many leads does this appointment setter is going to be calling? What kind of, like, are you using Go High Level, HubSpot? What kind of CRM system are you using? Is that all ready to go, set up? What kind of marketing are you doing? Are you doing any paid advertisement? Do you have calls coming in, booked in, and things like that, right? So if you don't have those systems and processes in place, it's very unlikely that your appointment setter is going to come in, and especially if you haven't done it yourself, right? So there's lots of those things. So we're going to make sure that you get the clarity. Usually, the first role. I really love this book by Dan Martell from Buyback. It's called Buy Back Your Time, and one of the roles that he talks about that every entrepreneur should look at before they even think about doing anything is the executive assistant. I myself been using my executive assistant for the last 2 years, and I think that's a place where basically, if you can find the right mix of talent in that executive assistant, you can now multiply yourself. You can focus on the strategic things that you need to work on while your day-to-day continues to happen with your executive assistant. So, if you're thinking of that, what's that one role? I would highly recommend an executive assistant, especially if you don't have these marketing systems in place and things like that. And then you go on to building out your internal marketing team so that your sales team can come in, because marketing always comes before sales. So those are some of the things that you have to be cognizant of when you're hiring. Are you going to hire locally inside the US? You're going to go globally. If you do go globally, be cognizant of some of these platforms which are really catering to freelancers who are really small business owners themselves, right? They might be able to come in and do the job for the time being, but eventually they're going to try and do their own thing. And then also the roles when you hire them is going to be very, very important. What you bring in first, and then you build out your systems and processes. And that's kind of our specialty, where we'll give you that clarity of what your next hire should be. We would even put together a detailed job description that even if you don't hire from us, you can go and work with Indeed and ZipRecruiter and hire locally inside the US as well. But at least, have some clarity on what your next hires should be. I hope this helps a little bit to that entrepreneur who's listening right now to make that next decision for their team that they're hiring.
I think it is very helpful. You're saying that it's dangerous early on to make these wrong decisions, to make these wrong hires. And wrong hire can mean a lot of different things, right? It can mean, well, you should have hired locally versus globally. It could mean the wrong person, or it could mean that new person, maybe keeping them around for too long if you need someone better or a different role. Or I really love this insight of yours of hiring in the wrong order of importance, because you're saying that it's really tempting like, you're on a podcast here, right? And this is kind of like level one. Someone gets a little bit of a taste of you, and then they might go to your site and get on your list and check on your podcast. And that might be like a level 2 awareness of you. And they might kind of listen every day or every week and get some nuggets. And maybe level 3 is then they check out your book and get more of a step-by-step plan. But in absorbing everything that you have to teach us, it's really tempting to say, okay, he told me item 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, that item number 6, that interests me the most. I'll just start there, right? It's easy to like pick and choose where you want to start. And then the problem there is if the sales and the appointment setting is fast paced and sexy and exciting, then you're saying, well, now you have a leaky bucket problem because you have all these leads coming in and you're just like adding chaos and more work and it's not working and you're throwing money down the drain. Whereas if you had a better process to also balance out the people, and you said, well, you have the sales coming in, but you also have the CRM and you have a system and you have the marketing, and then even taking a step back even further from there, you say, have this executive assistant so that way your day-to-day tasks don't fall by the wayside while you're building all these things. And so it's like, if you like, there's two ways of doing it, right? You could make it way too hard on yourself and just jump around in a random order and then try to catch up later, or build the foundation. You're saying, it's really great to be alive in this modern era to have all this information, but then you need to configure it in the right way. And that's why the podcast is great and the book is great. And your own ideas are great too, but in order to really do it right, someone needs to have learned some of this and have some of their ideas, and then meet with someone on your team and have this call where they can take all that in and say, okay, there's all these things that we could do, but here's the proper order of importance. That way we don't really kill our growth. And so this is wonderful to think about. And we don't have unlimited time here. And I want to make sure that we focus on you and your story, because that's exciting too, right? To hear about, just, you said that you're a COVID baby as far as a company and done all those
Yeah.
different things, but on the way, as far as getting your own people or building the platform, getting the bugs out, etc., what sort of panic moments have you had? Have there been any crises or any disasters as you were growing this? Because those are
Oh
fun.
man. Oh man, yeah. I was just recalling this with my team yesterday, and I think our third we've been really lucky with this. And in my agency it's been always the fast or famine kind of mode, like trying to close those deals so that I can just pay the bills and things like that. And it wasn't a really a home run in my agency career ever, but I was making a decent six-figure income for myself. The revenues were 300, 350,000, but I was the only person working for that agency. So that did me well. But what it did me was that I understood the inside and out of the marketing agency world, working in that industry for the last 15 years. And when we finally got the opportunity to start out, and I think one other thing, Robert, I'm going to point out is working with a coach, because that's going to like, if you're really wanting speed in your business, hire a coach within your niche that you're operating in. And because that's going to, you're basically you're buying time and speed when you hire a coach. And that's exactly what happened when I signed up for around August of 2020 with Josh Nelson of the Seven Figure Agency. And out of that, I got so many different ideas, and I had like two or three different ideas that I could start out with immediately. But one of them turned out to be RepStack, and the rest is history. But we've been lucky enough that from day one in this business, we've always had a wait list of clients. So it was not an issue for us even to date. But what has been an issue is now, because it's not a software that we're like you can just build the software and then everybody can go and use it. It's a human being on the other side of the equation. So that was the challenge when we first started out. And I remember like 3 months into the business, and our company is headquartered in Delaware, Wilmington. I was sitting at my brother's dining table, and this was a week. Like, time's just flying by at this point, because it was just me and my brother at this point. Right now we're over 200 people, but at that time it was just me and my brother. And I would sit on his dinner table, and it wasn't a very comfortable dinner table. And I would be there for 12 hours straight. And like, I've never done like this. Like, I was never involved in work like this ever before, but I was having so much fun. And like, I was doing interviews after interviews and client calls after client calls, and then I would forget to eat. Like, you think about those when entrepreneurs tell those stories, that this is what I went through. And that's exactly what I went through when we were launching RepStack and trying to fulfill all the demand that we had. And so that was one of them. Like, one of the big thing that popped up was that all of a sudden I was extremely busy, because in my other agency I had it down to, like, yeah, I wasn't doing a lot in revenue, but I only had to work for hour and a day. And I was making a comfortable six-figure income for myself, because I had most of the work outsourced to Fiverr, Upwork, and all of that good stuff. Over here, I was doing everything myself, and I didn't feel it, but my family did feel it. So I think that was one of the most important things early on, that I realized that, hey, I can't burn the candle on both ends this fast. And that led to hiring an executive assistant for myself. With the executive assistant, I was able to, so like, I don't check my emails, I don't do any of my social media, I didn't do any of my calendar. It's all done for me. Right after this call, I'm going to have a 30-minute sync with my EA. She's going to walk me through some of the most important things. I got some travels coming up and things like that, a presentation. We'll review it together and things like that. But most of that stuff is off of my plate now. And I can focus on calls like this, where I can go in and really, really be myself and enjoy being myself without having to worry about, hey, is this properly scheduled or not? Do I have to reply to Robert after this or not? All I'm going to do is that just send a quick voice note to my executive assistant, Sam, and let her know that, hey, this is the outcome of the call. If there's follow-up points, and, she'll take care of everything else. So it was early on, there was lots of fires. The family time from family and all of that stuff was big for me because I was not used to doing that for a really long time. But in due time, we were able to take care of it by, buying back some of our time by just hiring some executive assistants. Both me, my brothers, all of us have our own executive assistants. Some of our best clients have executive assistants now.
And it seems like the key, the secret in your transformation here is the different ways of thinking or different work modes. Because sure, there's like you started from almost like an employee or like a managerial employee kind of level where you're paid to do something and then you put it out on the team, and then you shifted into the entrepreneurial spirit. And we've all been there, and it's exciting, but you can't do that forever. But it is fun at first to do the 12-hour, 16-hour days and do all the things. And then now you've kind of reconfigured and said, well, at first I was just doing whatever I could to make it work, but then now it's time to rearrange the blocks and be more strategic. And it's great to hear about how your lifestyle is, because it's easy to be trapped and sucked in by all the small tasks, right? Because you say, oh, well, there's just this platform, there's this app, I can use my phone. All I have to do is go and click on send this message, and that's all great. But then your whole day can become that, right? Of sending 100, 200 messages.
Exactly.
And even
And
with,
you still have to do that task, right?
yeah.
So you're still doing all that stuff. And yeah, you're absolutely right. How my work has shifted has been incredible, and it has been very fulfilling as well, Robert. Like I said, I was a, solopreneur for most of the 15 years with my marketing agency. And then now, all of a sudden, over the last 3 years, we've grown this company to over 200 employees now. And I'm all of a sudden responsible for 200, not just 200 employees, but 200 families really who are tied to these people. So that's like I never thought of that until now. And so the things that I'm learning now are very different. And like how to manage people, for example, right? Like I never really had to worry about that in my other career, but now it's a real thing. Like, I have I think about 6 people who report to me, including my brother, the chief operating officer. My other brother is the chief financial officer. And then we have a few directors on the marketing side and training side, and HR is very, very important, things like that. So, like these 6 or 7 people report to me, including my executive assistant, to run a company of 200 people, which is extremely fulfilling. And what has really helped me get through this is a real appetite for learning. I feel that if you're not growing, and I've never been, I've been always that CD student in university and things like that, because, it was just, I wasn't into it because that's something, I don't know, like I've always been a rule breaker. But all of a sudden, in this business, I'm devouring finance books, which is the last thing I want to read. Like I'm finishing these finance books in 1 week because it's helping me. Like I'm learning and I'm applying right away, right? So I have a platform where I can learn and I can apply immediately. And once you get a taste of that, there's no going back. Right now, I have a membership at Audible, and I have 2 a month, which sometimes is not enough for me. I'm finishing these 30, 40 hour. I'm listening to the Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene right now. I finished his 48 Laws of Power. I really enjoyed that. For students of human behavior, I highly recommend both of those books. But I've finished over 200 books over the last 5 to 6 years, and my average is 1 hour a day. That that aggregates, like over the last 6 years, I've been doing this, every hour, every day, at least an hour on my books. That's now showing into that eventually helped me launch RepStack. And now, a lot of the growth that we're experiencing is also associated to that, just like ferocious appetite for learning and learning from the best people out there, whether it's coaches, whether it's books, and then applying it inside your business, and then having best people to do that. Because I'm the visionary. I'm onto ideas, like you can tell from I'm get excited about this, move on. But you need people who can come in and understand your vision and ideas and go and implement that for you. So we feel that we've been able to build out a strong team, a leadership team, and then people who can understand my vision and turn it into their mission to get the objective. And it's a beautiful feeling when you get to that point.
And it is inspiring to hear about. And I'm also making a mental note that I would say the majority of the guests on the show mention entrepreneurial operating system and just having that structure to kind of just harness your own fire hose of creativity and ideas and passion. And I love your mindset about this, that you have this voracious appetite for learning. Because back when you're in, you have to learn chemistry and history. You learn these things because you have to, right? And they don't really apply and they don't really help your life. But when you learn finance, the finance in itself is the boring subject, but then you apply it and then it works and your business grows, and then you help all these 200 families that you're helping out, and then there's that feedback loop where then you see the real results and then you get excited. And that's a place that we want to be, is passionate, turned on, working with a team, making a change in the world, doing amazing things. So how can someone get in on this? How can someone take the next step with you and find out about RepStack, learn what they need to know, have that meeting? What's the call to action?
Yeah, I think just repstack.co is our website. That would be the first step. Check us out at repstack.co. And if your challenge is, you want to build out a team for your business venture, and especially if you're inside the niches that we're focused on the marketing agency and the SaaS, we also work with quite some business coaches, especially if you're in these niches. We'd love to have a call with you, have a recruitment strategy with us. It's completely free of cost. Like I said, that, just get some clarity, and then even before that, we have a very busy podcast as well. So, we keep that, we're constantly adding value added content on our blog. So there's a lot of learning that you can do just by going to our website. But if you do have that, you want to take that extra step and want further clarity on how your team structure should be and who your next hires should be, just have a recruitment strategy session with my team. And even if you don't hire from us, you'll walk away with some world-class job descriptions for your next hires, and you can use those job descriptions to hire on Upwork, Fiverr, on Indeed, ZipRecruiter, any of these platforms out there. So so we need to really add value. And if we can help out by just going on this 30-minute call and give you some clarity, then we're definitely in it. So I think that's the next step. If you guys want to reach out to us, but other than that, like, if I want to leave the audience with one thing, is that obviously learning has been key. And then when you're ready to grow, you're going to need to build out a team. There's no way you can do it on your own. Over the last 3 years, there's very few people that I've seen who have been able to get to that 7-figure mark without hiring anyone. And actually, one example of that, and that agency now is hiring very fast right now, building out their team. So you're going to have to, sooner or later, you're going to have to build a team. And who you hire is going to make or break your business. So be very cognizant of who you bring inside your agency. And on my website, there's a course that I did with my coach, Josh Nelson, last year. It's a 7-hour course where we talk about some of the prerequisites, even before you hire. What are some of the prerequisites? So, like, ask yourself these questions. Do you have a vision statement for your business? Do you have a mission statement? Do you have a set of values that you're going to be operating with? because we're thinking of bringing these people inside our ecosystem, bet their life on our business succeeding. But we don't even, like, we have all these vision and mission and values in our head. Do we have it on paper so that we can get these people excited about it, right? So if we haven't done some of these things, then you might not be ready to hire at this point. So it's okay to step back, and then the order of hiring is going to be very important as well. And I think if you follow those rules, it's going to be and more often than not, you're going to be successful in the people that you bring in.
Yes, because you have set yourself up for success. Because if you are having some of these hiring difficulties or hesitation, maybe it's because you don't have these fundamentals in place that you're mentioning about the values and the mission statement and the vision statement. And then also, it is a little scary to take the leap to say, well, it's just me or it's just a small team and I need to have more people. But the good news is what you're saying here is you don't even have to go that part alone, right? If you're small now and you say, I need some assistance in order to get bigger, well, hey, Azhar and his team at repstack.co are your people. They have the book, they have the podcast, they have the calls. And so it's up to you to tap in to all of this information that's available to you, because this is the age of learning. But unfortunately, there's also so much noise, right? There's all these audiobooks and things on Audible, but it's up to you to focus and say, hey, here's what I want to do. Time is limited. Time is limited for lifetime and time with my family, etc. And I want to grow big, fast, and I want to build a business that gets to where I want to go. So Azhar and his team at repstack.co are where you should go. Check out the book, the podcast, the blog posts, get that phone call happening so that way you can get clarity and get to where you need to go, because the trail has already been blazed. People have been on this journey before you. And of course, your own SaaS and your own journey is unique, but you don't have to reinvent the wheel from scratch. Go to repstack.co and check out these hiring secrets and more that you need to know. And Azhar, it's been a blast speaking with you.
Same here, Robert. Thanks for having me on Scaling Secrets. It's a pleasure to be on your show. It's an amazing thing that you guys are doing for the entrepreneurs right now. You're cutting out the white noise, I think. So congratulations on an amazing show. And it's been a pleasure and an honor being on your show. Thank you very much for having me.
And thank you. And you're cutting out the noise too. We're on the same team.
All right.